Welcome back into Live Now from Fox, where we are heading over to California and dipping into some of the live coverage that we're getting from our partners at Fox 11 in Los Angeles, currently right now covering a vehicle pursuit, a stolen vehicle. Again, let's dip into this, and as always, viewer discretion is advised.
It's a big issue, right? But look at this guy really now driving erratically.
You know what? The entire time we've had eyes on this vehicle, it has been driving this type of erratic. Made a big loop right there. Now we're back on the southbound 5. We went through the Glendale area, came back to that 5, and now we're back on that southbound 5. Not sure if maybe he took the... Whoa! Oh, my goodness. And, you know, it is a big pickup truck. It is a newer pickup truck, so you know these vehicles have that automatic stability in there. But, you know what? When you push it to those type of limits, you know, everything has a limit. And, of course, that driver might make a wrong decision or a poor decision, and even that truck, being as new and as solid as it is, might still cause a crash. You can see that vehicle still moving along, using every lane right there. Comes close to so many other vehicles, and that's concerning to me as well. I wonder if that driver's thinking, well, maybe if I bump into somebody or cause some sort of accident, you know, then they'll stop chasing me, and that is very, very concerning. Again, though, those numbers, they're not lying. We've seen that vehicle hit those triple digits. I would venture to say there's probably a limiter on there, a newer vehicle, probably going to top out right about 120. But now we're seeing a little bit, I mean, we're still almost at 100 miles an hour, but you can see right there, like you mentioned, lighter traffic out here. That's a plus-ish, but it also gives that vehicle a lot of room to do all these maneuvers, we're going to call it that right now, and those high speeds, definitely frightening. For me, I can't imagine what that officer in that vehicle right behind him is dealing with right now.
Yeah, Stu, actually, this is Roxy. I just stepped in and took over for Sandra. And I was going to point out, because I just joined this pursuit, how I am noticing that traffic is lighter. But you're right. I feel as though because there are fewer cars on the road, it does make it riskier in a way, because that driver maybe will take more risk and attempt to do things otherwise he or she wouldn't.
Definitely, and these higher speeds, that is the most concerning part of all this. Now, there already was one officer in a crash at the 170 and the 5 freeway, and again, hopefully that person is okay, that officer's okay, and whoever that collided with is okay. But look at that. Look, we got traffic going on down there, and this vehicle continuing on in that emergency lane at these high speeds, zipping by all these other cars, and he's straddling the line, so he's getting very, very close to all those other vehicles down there. That must be very, very concerning to all those cars. Hopefully there is no contact. We haven't seen anything, but it definitely looks like that vehicle is trying to intimidate other vehicles or maybe push over to one of those other cars. And of course, California Highway Patrol, I'm wondering if they're staying behind them because of all of that. They might be just kind of right now just going to let it go for a little bit, let the helicopter follow it. But you can see that truck still making these high-speed maneuvers, southbound 5 freeway. We're in the Glendale area right now, but we're in the Los Feliz area, but you can tell right now that that vehicle is still moving around at a very, very fast speed and weaving in and out of between these cars. That is the concerning part. This part right here, that's probably as slow as we've seen it go the entire time.
Well, it's interesting that you were noticing the way this driver was driving along Whoa. Yeah, it's almost like you said intimidation, but to me it looks as though sometimes, you know, when you drive a vehicle you're not used to driving, perhaps it's a different size, you're not really aware of how to use that vehicle. That's what it looks like to me.
It could be. It definitely could be. That truck responding to whatever that driver's doing there behind the wheel, and it is swerving around. It is a pickup truck as well. The newer trucks, they try to make that weight distribution a little bit better for the common driver. Look at that, kind of caught in that groove right there. As we're continuing on, I think we just made that transition, or maybe not. Looks like we're right up on the Gore point. Looks like we're making that transition over to the 110 freeway. This is going to be very tight, and this is going to be a very sharp sharp turn up there. I'm not sure if that driver aware of the area. I did see those brake lights coming on, but this is a spot again where it gets so tight, and if there's any traffic, there could be a problem. Look at that person. Probably saw that in the rearview mirror. Up there's the California Highway Patrol. Maybe they heard those lights and sirens, but definitely was trying to get out of the way of that big truck barreling down on him. Now we're making that turn. There's a California Highway Patrol helicopter. Makes a really pretty picture. But this vehicle, at least I'm seeing a little bit slower speeds. And of course, everybody else is probably just like, what is going on? Now we're starting to make that transition over to the 110 South, downtown Los Angeles. I have a feeling that there's going to be a little bit of traffic coming up. And, you know, Roxy, we both are on that same page. You kind of wonder, maybe a little bit more traffic might slow these speeds down a little bit or create a problem where this truck just gets boxed in, which would be okay as long as that driver doesn't try to do bodily harm or try to push his way out of that situation. But it looks like, again, might be wrong, because it looks like he's got plenty of room to make any of these moves that he's been making for this entire pursuit.
Right. I mean, with more cars on the road, it does complicate it, and I guess it could make that driver slow down, but at the same time, it increases the risk of innocent drivers getting injured in this process. Oftentimes with these pursuits, we always talk about it, the people who are out on the road, they're not sitting at home watching the news. They might not be listening to the radio. They're just driving and minding their own business, and they don't know what they're dealing with out there, and they could very well be put into harm's way.
That is the biggest concern whenever we watch these pursuits. I really, truly mean that. I'm always worried about all those folks that this person is just zipping and whizzing by and getting so close to. That could be one of your loved ones out there just making their drive home or going to work or doing their errands, and then you've got this guy just ripping through there. And, you know, again, California Highway Patrol, they're doing what they can. Lights and sirens, warning the public, telling people, hey, basically you need to kind of move over. Look at this. Look at this. Yeah, you know, it's the first time I've seen somebody on that far right driving slow, and I'm appreciating it. Well, that truck did definitely slow down a little bit, making our way over to that transition where it does get backed up, and there's a little bit of usually a little bit of confusion. Take a look. I know that it's going to start getting to that stop and go traffic. We make our way through the downtown, through the Gore Point, making his way over to that off. So now he has that choice. He can get off and basically try to maybe drive through the city area, and or there's an opportunity to get back onto the 110. I have a feeling this driver does know where they're going or does know this area. Making that turn probably is going to keep them up. I think that was the last chance for the 110, so we're definitely going to be getting off either at Wilshire or 6th Street, and it is definitely going to be 6th Street as we're making that turn. That's going to put us into the city. Oh, it's going to be tough for us to keep an eye on it. I got to work with Jeff as we try to keep an eye on where this truck is going.
Yeah, that's going to complicate things for sure. Stu, it's a little past 1 o'clock now, and for people who are just joining us or you know, cutting into programming right now, can you tell us what we know about this stolen vehicle? What is the latest that we're hearing from police?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out right now. I'm concerned about trying to find that vehicle in the downtown area. I'm sure Jeff is going to shout it out when he starts seeing where this thing is. He's still on 6th Street, but realistically, right now, the only thing we know is this stolen vehicle came out of the Carson area. California Highway Patrol right behind it, and they were making their way through the freeways. Southbound was the one that they were doing the most. But eventually, there was a crash, and that was the most concerning part about all of this. Was when that vehicle was involved in a collision. A CHP vehicle was involved in a collision at 170 in the 5 freeway. There were 2 of these cars, and now I don't know if they were both pickup trucks, but one of them actually made it onto the 170, went south, got off Sherman Way, and then basically dumped that vehicle somewhere over by Sherman Way and Satakoy. That person in custody. Now this one still continuing on. The last location I heard was still on 6th Street, but there's a lot of traffic out here trying to work the scanners and try to find this vehicle at the same time. But that big pickup truck now in the downtown Los Angeles area, somewhere between these buildings.
Okay, just so we're clear, there were 2 of these pickup trucks, and both were involved or they were pursued as stolen vehicles, and this is one of them right now that we're trying to find because that individual took that exit, and the other one was involved in a crash, and that driver was taken into custody.
Yes. Now, I don't know if they were both pickup trucks. I did hear them describe one as a black pickup truck, and this one is clearly gray. But I don't know the make and model of the second one that was involved in the chase. I understand that it might be a little bit more south of us. If somebody down there has better information, meaning our assignment desk, you can shout it out anytime, and we'll just see if we can pick this thing back up.
So would these two people have
South
been...
Grand at the 10.
Would these two people have been in... Do they know one another? Is this connected? Or is this two separate incidents? What do we know about that?
That type of information, I can't really. I would venture to say that they probably somehow knew each other. South Grand at the 10 is the area that we're looking at right now. I'm trying to see if we can pick up any fast-moving vehicles down there. But this is the general area that we just heard them talking about. That's the 10 freeway. That's Grand. But at the speeds that thing was going, I'm sure he's probably maybe in a little bit farther south if he didn't get back onto the freeway. Again, though, trying to reacquire this chase right now, and any other information that they might be giving us down there, I would appreciate as well.
Yes, I'm going to keep my ears open and see if we can get some information. Oftentimes, obviously, with a breaking news story like this, we're just we're able to only report on what we're seeing and what we're hearing directly from scanners. I'm kind of scanning my eyes down below as well. I know it's tricky, isn't it? You feel like you have a good eye on the vehicle, and then very easily, with just one exit or a couple turns, and you can lose it. I mean, gray's the kind of color that blends too. There are so many gray and white vehicles on the roads.
Definitely on the southbound 110 somewhere. We're trying to pick them back up right now. I'm kind of glad that they took a freeway. But right now I saw a couple of CHP units moving along pretty quickly, but I think these guys are actually behind the curve as well, much like me this afternoon. So we're going to keep an eye and see if we can pick it back up. But definitely moving southbound on the 110 freeway. We're probably going to do that transition as well, but right now just still looking for that actual chase on the southbound 110.
You know, oftentimes one of the questions I know you get asked, because you cover these things a lot, is how often do these suspects get away? And sometimes they do.
Copy. I'm sorry about that, guys. I think we actually even lost the IFB to southbound 10 at Expo. So he's got to be somewhere right here, because this is the general area where we are, and still trying to pick it back up.
Okay, Stu, let me know if you can hear me, and if you don't.
Got off by the Coliseum.
You're watching us cover this stolen pursuit of a truck, and it gets tricky sometimes because you can lose the vehicle in the process of the pursuit, and then you're working with people trying to acquire as much information as possible. So obviously, as you're watching this, you see that we're trying to get our eyes back on this stolen pickup truck, and we're trying to establish connection with Skyfox. Sometimes it can get a little dicey. So we're just working with what we have right now. The stolen pickup, I guess it originated, as Stu was saying, out of Carson. There was another vehicle, also a stolen vehicle, a black pickup truck is what Stu was reporting, which was also involved in some kind of a crash with a CHP vehicle, a CHP unit, and that individual driving the other pickup truck was taken into custody. So we are trying to get our eyes back on this gray pickup truck. Okay, Stu, is that the vehicle right there?
There it is, yeah, and that was a little bit painful. I'm sorry that we lost it there for just a little bit.
It is what it is.
And, you know, now he's continuing on. You know, the drive is a little bit slower. That rear wheel definitely coming apart, and I have a feeling that is it is slowing this guy down. We did notice that earlier on when he was basically swerving around on the freeway. That tire now coming apart. You know, I always say this, and when we see these chases, hopefully that vehicle will give up before the driver does. But sometimes, like with this guy driving, I don't think that losing that tire is going to create too much of a deterrent for that driver. He's just going to keep pushing that truck, and now it's going to be handicapped as well. That's going to create more problems. It's going to slow him. It's going to create the braking issues and also swerving issues. We definitely see those speeds slowing down as well. I'm going to bring back up the map for you guys so you can keep an eye on it and see where we are. That tire just about coming off. But I also kind of wonder sometimes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He's going to start losing the ability to drive out of the vehicle and running. And, there we go, run. And there's California Highway Patrol right behind him. Let's see who's been a little bit better off. And, of course, that's going to be the officer from California Highway Patrol coming to an end right there, using that less than lethal, at least threatening that suspect down on the ground there, hands out, and again coming to what I would venture to say as a peaceful end. Hopefully that officer that was involved in the crash out in the North Hollywood area is going to be okay. But right now that suspect in custody, and again that pickup truck losing that rear tire. Not sure how that all happened. And of course it's under a tree, but I'm not sure how all that happened. But again, that rear tire coming apart is what brought this to an end. That driver probably would have kept going as long as he could.
Was that I don't know if you can tell, but was that a taser that was used?
Yes,
okay.
Definitely. Well, it was a taser, less than lethal. He didn't use it. It was not deployed. He just had it out, is threatening that suspect. Basically, if you get up and run, we're going to use this.
Okay. Can you tell us where we are exactly? What streets are those?
That's going to be Hollandale and Jefferson.
Hollandale and
you can see the pickup truck. Yep. Apparently, he tried to throw it into park, but it was actually reversed, and it rolled back over here up onto the sidewalk, coming to a stop. Again, it is a miracle that, we did have an officer-involved crash with the other pursuit, but this one, it's a miracle that there was nobody injured. Thank goodness for that. California Highway Patrol doing an amazing job keeping up with that guy and keeping the public safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for staying on top of this and following this as best as we could. Obviously, it's a developing story. It's breaking. It gets tricky sometimes. We appreciate it. You and the Sky Fox crew, we're connecting you back to your regularly scheduled programming.